Welcome to Sulava MEA's Learning Portal. I'm your guide for today's training, and in this training, we are going to cover one of the most critical skills in any organization's playbook: leading change effectively. Whether you are a manager, a project leader, a department head, or someone who has been asked to champion a new initiative, this training is for you. Change is everywhere. New technologies, new processes, new structures, new strategies. The pace of change has never been faster, and it is only accelerating. But here is the challenge and the opportunity. Most organizations focus almost entirely on the technical side of change, the system, the rollout plan, the go-live date, and they massively underinvest in the people side. That is exactly why so many change initiatives fail. Today, we are going to fix that. Here is what we will cover today across 8 focused modules. We start by understanding why change fails. Because you cannot fix a problem you do not fully understand. Then we build your foundation in change management fundamentals, the principles and life cycle that underpin every successful transformation. From there, we go deep into the Prosci methodology, a structured, research-based approach used by thousands of organizations worldwide. We will spend focused time on the ADKAR model, the most powerful tool for diagnosing why an individual is not changing and what to do about it. Then we cover the Champions Network, your highest leverage strategy for driving peer-led adoption. We look at communication strategy, because most change communication is ineffective, and we will show you exactly how to do it right. We explore Microsoft's free adoption ecosystem. Learn the Champions Program, Viva Insights, resources your organization can use immediately. And we close with Benchio, measuring success. Because what gets measured gets managed. Let us begin. Section 1. Why change fails. Before we talk about solutions, we need to be honest about the reality. Because the data is sobering, and understanding it will change how you approach every initiative from this point forward. Let us look at the numbers. According to McKinsey & Company, 70% of change initiatives fail to achieve their objectives. 70%. That is not a small problem. That is a systemic crisis in how organizations lead change. Gartner research tells us that 62% of employees experience change fatigue. They are exhausted from too many overlapping initiatives with too little support. Prosci's own benchmarking research shows that 1 in 3 project failures can be directly attributed to a lack of management support. And here is the powerful one. Prosci found that organizations with excellent change management are 6 times more likely to achieve their project objectives compared to those with poor change management. 6 times. The investment in change management is not a cost. It is the single highest return investment you can make in a transformation project. And notice what all of these statistics have in common. They are all about people. Not technology, not strategy, not budget, people. So what specifically causes change to fail? Prosci's research across thousands of projects identifies 6 recurring root causes. Number 1, lack of senior leader support. Employees watch what leaders do, not what they say. When executives are passive, silent, or even mildly skeptical, the message they send is, "This doesn't really matter." Number 2, resistance from employees. Unaddressed fears, disrupted habits, and perceived threats create invisible barriers that slow adoption to a crawl. Number 3, inadequate change management resources. Change is treated as a line item in the project plan, not a discipline. No budget, no methodology, no dedicated team. Number 4, poor communication. Wrong message, wrong channel, wrong timing, or simply so much noise that the signal gets lost entirely. Number 5, change fatigue. When organizations layer change upon change without allowing recovery time, employees disengage, quietly at first, then visibly. Number 6, no reinforcement mechanisms. This one is particularly painful because it happens after all the hard work is done. People revert, old habits return, the gains erode because no one built systems to sustain the change. Here is the good news. Every single one of these root causes is preventable with the right methodology. Section 2, Change Management Fundamentals. Now that we understand what we are up against, let us build a solid foundation. Let us start with a clear definition. Prosci defines change management as the application of a structured process and set of tools for leading the people side of change to achieve a desired outcome. Key phrase: the people side of change. Here is a distinction that is absolutely critical to understand. Every change has two sides. There is the technical side. Installing the system, designing the new process, restructuring the organization, developing the strategy. This is the what of change. And there is the people side, ensuring that individuals understand the change, choose to support it, know how to operate in the new environment, and actually adopt new behaviors day to day. This is the how of change. Both matter enormously. Project management delivers the technical solution. Change management delivers adoption of that solution. You can build the most brilliant system in the world, but if people do not use it, it delivers zero value. Every change, without exception, passes through 4 stages. Understanding these stages will make you a far more effective change leader because you will stop being surprised by resistance and start anticipating it and planning for it. Stage 1, shock and denial. The initial announcement creates disruption. People question why change is needed. Productivity temporarily drops. This is normal and expected. Stage 2, anger and resistance. Emotions surface. People push back, complain, or quietly disengage. This is not a failure of your initiative. This is a healthy, normal part of the change journey. The mistake is trying to skip it. Stage 3, exploration and acceptance. As the dust settles, curiosity begins to replace fear. People start experimenting. They begin to see possibilities in the new way of working. Stage 4, commitment and integration. New behaviors become habits. Teams are operating at full capability. The change is embedded. Your role as a change leader is not to eliminate these stages. That is impossible. Your role is to accelerate the journey, to help people move from left to right faster with less disruption. Section 3, the Prosci methodology. Prosci is the world's leading change management research and training organization. Their methodology is used across more than 80 countries, and for good reason. It works. The Prosci methodology is built around 3 phases, and the order matters. You cannot shortcut from phase 1 to phase 3. Phase 1, prepare for change. This is the work you do before. The change goes live. You define your change strategy. You assess organizational readiness. You identify which roles are impacted. You build your team and activate your sponsors. Phase 2, manage the change. This is the active execution phase. You deliver communications, you run training, you coach managers, you manage resistance when it appears, and critically, you monitor adoption metrics. Phase 3, sustain the outcomes. This is where many organizations stop too early. You collect performance data, you diagnose gaps, you take corrective action where adoption has stalled, and you formally transition ownership from the project team to the business. Think of these phases as a relay race. Each phase hands off to the next, and if you drop the baton at any point, the whole race suffers. Let us go deeper into phase 1. The first activity is defining your change strategy. What is the business case? What is the vision? Why now? And what happens if you don't change? These answers must be clear before anyone else is asked to support the initiative. Second is the Ceremonies Organizational Readiness Assessment. How much change is the organization currently absorbing? What is the history of past change successes and failures? What cultural factors might help or hinder this initiative? Third is impact analysis by role. This is often underdone. You need to map precisely which roles are affected, how their daily work will shift, and what they will need to succeed. Generic communications fail because they ignore the specifics of each group's experience. Fourth, and this is arguably the most important, is sponsor identification and activation. Prosci's research consistently finds that active, visible sponsorship from senior leaders is the single greatest predictor of change success. Not passive endorsement, active sponsorship. Fifth is assembling your change team. The practitioners, managers, HR partners, communications professionals, and training designers who will execute the plan. And sixth is portfolio change management. Looking at all the changes happening simultaneously across the organization and thoughtfully sequencing them to prevent overload. Phase 2 is where the visible work happens and where most organizations focus all their energy. But here is the insight. Phase 2 only works if Phase 1 was done properly. Communication plan execution. This means delivering targeted, role-specific messages through the right channels repeatedly. Research shows people need to hear a message 7 times before it fully registers. 7. Training and capability building. Role-based training that builds both knowledge, what to do, and ability, how to actually do it. The distinction matters enormously. We will come back to this in the ADKAR section. Coaching managers. Middle managers are the critical link in any change. They need to understand the change, believe in it, model it, and reinforce it daily. Most change programs underinvest here. Resistance management. This is not about crushing resistance. It is about understanding its root causes and addressing them. Fear, loss, confusion, distrust. Each requires a different response. Sponsor roadmap. Your executive sponsors need specific scheduled actions, not just an endorsement email, presentations, floor walks, celebrating early wins, removing blockers, adoption monitoring. Track utilization rates, watch for dips, intervene early. The worst time to discover low adoption is at the end of the project. Phase 3 is about keeping the gains, And this is where most change programs fall short. The project is declared complete, the team moves on, and 6 months later, people have reverted to their old ways. This is not inevitable, it is preventable. Collect performance data. Against the metrics you defined at the start, pre- and post-comparisons tell you whether you actually delivered the value you promised. Diagnose gaps. Not everyone will be at the same level of adoption. Identify the individuals and teams that are still struggling and design targeted interventions for them. Transition to operations. Formally hand off change ownership from the project team to business leaders. Document the processes, establish governance, make it official. Celebrate and recognize. Public recognition of early adopters, champions, and supportive leaders does 2 things. It rewards the right behaviors, and it signals to everyone else what success looks like. And finally, capture lessons learned. What worked? What did not? What would you do differently? Every change initiative is an opportunity to build your organization's change capability for next time. Section 4, the ADKAR model. If the Prosci three-phase process is your change program roadmap, ADKAR is your diagnostic lens at the individual level. This model will change how you think about resistance. It will give you precision where you previously had guesswork. ADKAR is an acronym, 5 letters, 5 sequential building blocks that an individual must achieve in order to successfully make a change. A. Awareness. Does the person understand why the change is happening? D. Desire. Does the person want to support and participate in the change? K. Knowledge. Does the person know how to change, the skills, behaviors, and processes required? A. Ability. Can the person actually do it consistently in their day-to-day role? R. Reinforcement. Are there mechanisms in place to sustain the change over time? Here is the critical insight. ADKAR is sequential. You cannot move someone from awareness to knowledge if they have not yet developed desire. You cannot develop ability if the person lacks knowledge. And this makes ADKAR a one-barrier point model. Way. If someone is not changing, one of these 5 elements is the barrier. Your job is to find it and fix that specific thing, not a generic response, but a targeted intervention. Let us explore each element in depth, starting with awareness. Awareness answers the question, does this person understand why we are making this change? The most common mistake in change communication is leading with the what. Here's the new system, here's the go-live date, before the why has been properly established. What should you communicate? The business reason for change, the risk of staying the same, the consequences of not adapting. These must be concrete and credible, not vague corporate messaging. Who should deliver it? Senior leaders carry the most credibility for the big picture. Peer champions add authenticity, and direct managers make it personal and relevant to each individual's role. Awareness gaps look like this. Employees hear the implementation date before they hear the rationale. The result? Anxiety, confusion, and resistance that could have been avoided entirely. How do you measure awareness? Ask directly. In surveys, focus groups, and conversations, ask people, can you tell me in your own words why we are making this change? The quality of their answer tells you exactly where you are. Desire is the most misunderstood and most challenging element of ADKAR. Here is the fundamental truth about desire. You cannot mandate it. You can create the conditions for it. You can influence it. But you cannot force a person to want to change. It is a personal choice. And this is important because many change leaders respond to low desire with more pressure, more mandates, more urgency, and that almost always makes it worse. So what actually influences desire? Personal impact. People evaluate what's in it for me before they decide whether to engage. If the change makes someone's work easier, more meaningful, or more visible, that is motivating. If it just creates more work for no personal benefit, that is a challenge. Trust in leadership. Desire is deeply connected to credibility. If employees do not trust the people sponsoring this change, they will not trust the change itself. Organizational context. The history of past changes matters enormously. In organizations that have a track record of failed or mismanaged initiatives, the starting level of desire for any new change is much lower. Individual values. When you can connect a change to something a person genuinely cares about, career growth, team success, customer impact, you access far more intrinsic motivation than any external pressure can generate. Leader action? Listen. Have one-to-one conversations. Discover what motivates each person. Remove personal barriers where you can, and never, ever use coercion. Coercion creates compliance. You want commitment. Now let us look at the final 3 elements together: knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. Knowledge is about training, role-based training programs, just-in-time learning resources, exactly the right information at exactly the right moment, process documentation, scenario walkthroughs, peer learning communities. But here is where many organizations stop, and that is the mistake. Ability is different from knowledge. You can know exactly what to do and still not be able to do it consistently under real working conditions. Ability requires practice. It requires coaching. It requires a safe environment to make mistakes and learn. It requires time, and leaders who provide that time rather than expecting perfection from day one. Think about learning to drive. You can study the highway code completely, all the rules, all the signs, all the theory. But until you get behind the wheel and drive, in real traffic with a real instructor giving real feedback, you do not have ability. And finally, reinforcement. This is what sustains the change. Recognition and reward programs, performance metrics and dashboards that make new behaviors visible, accountability from direct managers, champions celebrating peer success, regular adoption pulse surveys that keep attention on progress. Without reinforcement, gains erode. Old habits are tenacious. They will return the moment the pressure is off, unless you build systems to keep the new way of working visible, valued, and expected. Now let us put ADKAR to work as a diagnostic tool. When you encounter someone who is not adopting the change, instead of guessing, you can listen for specific signals that tell you exactly which ADKAR element is the barrier. If you hear, "I don't understand why we're doing this," the barrier is awareness. The action: increase leadership communication, clarify the business case, use data and specific consequences. If you hear, "I understand, but I just don't want to change," the barrier is chitao desire. The action: listen deeply, have a personal conversation, understand their specific concerns, engage their direct manager. If you hear, "I want to change, but I don't know how," the barrier is knowledge. The action: provide targeted training, create role-specific guides, run Q&A sessions. If you hear, "I know what to do, but I can't seem to do it consistently," the barrier is ability. The action: create more practice opportunities, reduce barriers to experimentation, increase coaching frequency. And if you hear, "I was doing it, but I've slipped back to my old ways," the barrier is reinforcement. The action: implement recognition, create accountability mechanisms, share progress metrics publicly. This is the power of ADKAR. It turns resistance from a vague, frustrating problem into a specific, solvable challenge. Section 5. Building a Champions Network. If you only take one thing from this entire training and implement it, make it this: the Champions Network is the single most powerful strategy for driving sustainable, peer-led adoption. So, what exactly is a Champions Network? Champions are enthusiastic, influential employees who drive adoption from within. They are not the IT team. They are not mandated managers. They are volunteers, people who are genuinely excited about the change and willing to help their colleagues succeed. Who are champions? They come from all levels and all functions. What they have in common is peer respect, genuine curiosity, and a willingness to dedicate time to help others. What do champions do? They demonstrate new tools. They answer questions in the moment, which is often more effective than any help desk. They run informal training sessions. They share success stories. and they provide invaluable feedback back to the project team about what is working and what is not. Why do networks work? Because peer influence outperforms top-down mandates every time. People trust colleagues who have navigated the same challenges they face. Champions create psychological safety, the sense that it is okay to ask a stupid question, to try something new, to fail and try again. What size should your network be? Microsoft recommends 1 champion per 20 users for technology adoption. For large-scale organizational change, aim for 5 to 10% of affected staff as active champions. A well-designed champions network has clear roles at every level. The executive sponsor is not a passive figurehead. They visibly champion the change at all hands meetings. They personally remove organizational blockers. They celebrate champion contributions publicly, and they allocate real time and resources to the network. The change management lead designs and runs the entire program. They equip champions with resources and talking points. They capture and route feedback, and they track the health of the network through metrics. Departmental champions are the front line. They run weekly peer Q&A sessions. They demo tools in team meetings. They are the first point of contact when a colleague has a question, long before anyone would consider submitting a help desk ticket. Super users are your advanced practitioners. They create department-specific how-to guides. They mentor new champions. And they serve as the direct liaison between the user community and the project or IT team. Now here is something your organization can access immediately, for free. Microsoft has built a comprehensive champions program to help organizations build and sustain adoption of Microsoft 365 and Copilot. You can find it at adoption.microsoft.com. Become a champion. Let me walk you through the key components. The Champion Management Platform, or CMP, is a free Microsoft Teams application that tracks champion activity, gamifies engagement with points and digital badges, and gives administrators a real-time dashboard of network health. Microsoft 365 Learning Pathways is a free, customizable training content library with over 200 modules covering every Microsoft 365 product. Champions can curate a custom learning path for their specific organization. Monthly champion community calls are hosted by Microsoft and bring champions from around the world together to share the latest features, adoption strategies, and success stories. Champion recognition and certification. Microsoft recognizes top champions with digital badges, LinkedIn credentials, and invitations to exclusive MVP and insider programs. This matters enormously for champion motivation. The Unadoption Resource Library provides ready-made posters, emails, video scripts, and workshop kits aligned to each product launch. This saves your team weeks of content creation time. And the EAI Adoption Hub on Microsoft Learn provides scenario-based Copilot guides, prompt engineering resources, and organizational readiness tools. Everything you need to drive responsible AI adoption. Here is a practical 90-day roadmap for launching your Champions Network. Days 1 to 14. Recruit. Define your champion criteria and the benefits of participation. Communicate the opportunity through managers. Open a self-nomination process. You will be surprised how many volunteers you get when people feel genuine ownership. Days 15 to 30. On board. Host a welcome session with your executive sponsor present. This signals that the program matters at the highest level. Provide champions with the change story, clear talking points, and access to all tools they will advocate. Issue your champion toolkit and badge. Days 31 to 60. Activate. Champions begin running their first peer sessions. Set up a dedicated champions channel in Microsoft Teams. Begin monthly champion community calls. Encourage the first success stories to be shared internally. Days 61 to 90. Sustain. Recognize your top champions publicly. Collect and route their feedback to the project team. Begin expanding the network to new departments. And review your KPIs. Is the network delivering the adoption results you need? Section 6. Communication Strategy. Of all the tools in a change leader's toolkit, communication is both the most used and the most misused. Let us fix that. Let us start with a fundamental truth that many organizations miss. Sending an email is not communication. Communication is when a message is received, understood, and believed by the recipient. That distinction matters enormously, because when adoption is low, the first response is often, "But we communicated this," and technically, something was sent. But real communication? That may never have happened. Let me share 6 principles that will transform your change communication. First, repeat times 7. Research shows that people need to hear a message approximately 7 times before it fully registers. Vary the format, vary the channel, vary the messenger, but repeat the core message consistently. Second, audience segmentation. What an executive needs to hear is completely different from what a frontline employee needs. Create audience personas. Tailor every message to the specific concerns, language, and context of each group. Third, use preferred channels. Microsoft Teams, Viva Engage, email, town halls, team meetings, digital signage, the intranet. Use the channels your audience actually uses, not the ones that are easiest for you to produce. Fourth, two-way communication. Broadcast is not enough. Create structured channels for questions, feedback, and concerns, and then respond visibly and promptly. Nothing destroys trust faster than a feedback channel that goes nowhere. Fifth, manager cascade. Research consistently shows that an employee's most trusted source of change information is their direct manager. Equip every manager with talking points, FAQs, and conversation guides before you make any announcements. Sixth, timing and sequencing. Always communicate why before what before how. Give people time to absorb each stage before loading them with more detail. Staged, sequenced communication dramatically reduces confusion and anxiety. Every change initiative needs a written communication plan, not a spreadsheet hidden in a project folder, a living document that the whole change team uses actively. Your plan should answer 6 questions for every communication. Who is the audience? Be specific. All staff is often too broad. What is the message? The specific content tailored for that audience at that moment in the change journey. Which channel? Town hall, email, Teams, team meeting, video, matched to the audience's habits and the message's importance. When? Timing relative to the change milestones. Not too early, people won't retain it. Not too late, people will feel blindsided. Who sends it? The right sender matters. Executive announcements, manager conversations, champion peer-to-peer. Each has a different purpose and impact. How do you collect feedback? Every communication should have a mechanism for the audience to respond, a form, a survey, a meeting, a channel. When all 6 columns are filled for every planned communication, you have a real communication plan. The good news for organizations already on Microsoft 365 is that you have an entire ecosystem of communication tools already available to you. Microsoft Viva Amplify is a campaign management tool specifically designed for change communications. You can create, publish, and measure multi-channel messages from one place, and track open rates and reach in real time. Microsoft Viva Engage. Formerly Yammer is your organization-wide social network, Champions and leaders can share stories, celebrate wins, and host communities of practice where people support each other through the change. Microsoft Teams is the natural home for your change channels. Dedicated Q&A channels, champion channels, resource channels, all with pinned links, file tabs, and live events built in. SharePoint serves as your central change hub, a dedicated intranet site with your change story, FAQs, training links, project timeline, and champion spotlights. Microsoft Stream hosts your leadership video messages, training recordings, and success story testimonials, accessible from within Teams, SharePoint, and Viva Connections. And Kenshi, Viva Connections, delivers a personalized dashboard to each employee within Teams, surfacing the change news, tasks, and learning resources most relevant to their specific role. Section 7. Microsoft Learn and the Microsoft Adoption Ecosystem. One of the most underutilized assets available to any organization adopting Microsoft technologies is the vast free library of resources Microsoft has built to help you succeed. Microsoft Learn at learn.microsoft.com and the Microsoft Adoption Hub at adoption.microsoft.com together provide a comprehensive, constantly updated library of free training and resources. For Copilot adoption, you will find scenario-based prompting guides, Copilot impact assessment templates, and complete communication kits for leaders and managers. These are ready to use, just customized for your organization. For change management, Microsoft Learn provides foundational learning paths, frameworks for organizational adoption, and digital transformation leadership content. Some of this content prepares you for Prosci certification. For your Champions program, you will find everything you need to set up the Champion Management Platform, recordings of community calls going back years, and ready-made recruitment templates. ICE, for measurement and analytics. There are templates for Microsoft 365 Adoption Score dashboards in Power BI, guides for using Viva Insights to track behavioral change, and detailed walkthroughs for interpreting your usage analytics. The investment of time to explore these resources will pay back many times over. Your organization does not need to build from scratch. Microsoft has already built it. One of the most powerful and underutilized tools in your change measurement arsenal is the AS Microsoft Adoption Score. Adoption Score gives your organization a real-time view of how employees are working across 6 dimensions, giving you a built-in adoption barometer that requires no additional software. Communication, measuring Teams messages, email, and meeting participation to identify teams with low collaboration adoption. Meetings and calls, tracking online meeting rates, recording usage, and Teams phone adoption. Content collaboration, monitoring co-authoring in OneDrive and SharePoint, and real-time collaboration rates. Mobility, measuring multi-device usage and mobile app adoption, critical for organizations with frontline workers. Teamwork, analyzing channel activity, file sharing in Teams, and collaborative app usage. And increasingly important, AI and Copilot, tracking active Copilot users, prompts submitted, and estimated time savings per capability area. Combined with Viva Insights, B, which provides behavioral analytics and well-being metrics, you have a comprehensive data set to guide every phase of your change management work. Section 8. Measuring Success. We have reached the final section of our training, and we are going to close with the discipline that separates good change managers from great ones. Measurement. Effective change measurement goes far beyond tracking whether the technical solution was delivered on time. You need to measure the people side. And you need to start measuring it at the beginning of the initiative, not at the end. Awareness and communication KPIs include the percentage of employees who can articulate the rationale for change in their own words, email open rates, video view rates, and intranet change hub visits. Adoption and utilization KPIs. Include active user rates, daily, weekly, monthly, feature adoption by specific capability area, training completion rates by role, and support ticket volume, which is actually an inverse adoption indicator. As adoption improves, ticket volume should fall. Proficiency and ability KPIs. Include self-assessed confidence scores before and after training, manager assessments of team capability, time to proficiency measurements, and error rates in new processes. And Champions Network KPIs. Include the number of active champions versus your target, sessions delivered per month, the proportion of questions resolved by champions versus IT support, and your champion net promoter score, which tells you how energized and effective your network is feeling. When should you measure? Continuously, but with specific checkpoint moments. Before launch, establish your baseline. Complete your readiness assessment, run your awareness survey, document current tool usage, survey manager support levels. This baseline is your before picture. Without it, you cannot demonstrate the after. At month 1, take an early pulse. How many people can articulate the why? What is training completion so far? How active is your champion network? What is the support ticket volume telling you? At month 3, your midpoint assessment. This is where you run your ADKAR barrier point scan. Where is the adoption rate versus target? Are champions energized? Are managers coaching effectively? At month 6, the maturity checkpoint. Now you can run proficiency assessments, calculate the business outcome KPIs, time saved, errors reduced, costs avoided, and begin measuring cultural shift indicators. Are new behaviors becoming habits? At month 12, full benefits realization. Host your lessons learned session. Publish a network health report. Calculate the full ROI. And make a decision. Do you reinvest in expanding the change or declare success and transition to the next initiative? That measurement cadence, from baseline to 12 months, is what transforms a change initiative from a project into a lasting organizational capability. We are nearly at the end of our training. Let me bring everything together with the 7 key takeaways that I want you to carry with you from today. 1. Change fails because of people, not technology. Invest equally in the people side of every initiative. The technical solution delivers zero value if no one adopts it. 2. Use the Prosci 3-phase process. Prepare, manage, sustain, in that order, every time. Do not skip to execution before you have built the foundation. 3. ADKAR is your diagnostic lens. When someone is not changing, find the barrier point and fix that specific thing. Targeted interventions outperform generic responses every time. 4. Champions are your highest leverage asset. Build the network before you need it. Recruit broadly, activate early, recognize publicly, and sustain relentlessly. 5. Communication must be repeated, segmented, two-way, and manager-led. A single announcement is not communication. Build a plan, work the plan, measure and adjust. 6. Microsoft's free tools amplify your change efforts. Learn, Adoption Score, Viva Amplify, the Champions Management Platform. Your organization has access to world-class resources at no additional cost. Use them. 7. What gets measured gets managed. Define your KPIs at the start of the initiative. Measure consistently, share results transparently, and let the data guide your interventions. Before we close, here are the key resources to support your ongoing learning journey. 4. Prosci and ADKAR. Visit Prosci.com for their research library and certification programs. Their book, ADKAR, A Model for Change in Business, is essential reading. 4. Microsoft Adoption Resources, or adoption.microsoft.com, is your go-to hub. The Champions program is at adoption.microsoft.com. Become a champion. And Microsoft Learn at learn.microsoft.com offers free, self-paced learning paths for every role. For Viva and analytics tools, adoption.microsoft.com/Viva and your Microsoft 365 Admin Center for Adoption Score and Viva Insight setup. And for Sulava MEA support, visit learning.sulavamea.com for our full training library. Our consultants are available to support your change program. Reach us at info@sulavamea.com. And that brings us to the close of today's training. Leading change from resistance to adoption. You now have the frameworks, Prosci's three-phase process. You have the diagnostic model, ADKAR. You have the activation strategy, the Champions Network. You have the communication principles, you have the measurement cadence, and you have a rich ecosystem of free Microsoft resources to support every step. But frameworks only create value when they are applied. So here is my challenge to you. Think of one change initiative happening in your organization right now, or one that is coming, and ask yourself, do we have a sponsor who is actively visible? Have we built awareness before asking for desire? Are we measuring the people side or just the technical delivery? Do we have champions in place? If the answer to any of those is no, you now know exactly what to do. Thank you for investing your time in this training. Remember, change does not happen to people. It happens through them. And it starts with leaders like you. This has been Sulava MEA's Learning Portal. Visit us at learning.sulavamea.com to continue your learning journey.